Okay, so a lot happened in the last 24 hours. The Game Awards happened, and while I don't exactly care about that in and of itself, it did release a lot of different trailers, some of which are really good and some of which I'm really excited about. Um, and some I don't really care about. But, and I was gonna talk about that. I was gonna use this time to talk about that, but then fucking Marvel released the teaser for Avengers Endgame, which is holy shit! Like, and it honestly couldn't be more perfect timing because I just recently, like in the last few days, watched Infinity War, and it kind of broke me for a little bit. Like, I was emotionally devastated by the time the credits rolled, and I actually had to sit in total silence and just kind of process everything that just happened. But it is so weird that I finally get to see this movie, and then like a couple days later, this happens. So Endgame, yeah, like Thanos wins, half the universe is dead, and now we're just kind of going back to the characters we know, the ones who survived. Thanos' genocidal finger snap, and it looks really damn good so far. Captain America shaved off his beard, but you know, we don't really get to see that many of the surviving heroes in this. It starts out with Tony on a spaceship heading back towards Earth from Titan, and this is what I'm curious about. Is it Titan, the moon of Saturn, like in the original comics, or is Titan a completely different planet now? Like, that is a genuine question, because you'd think that one of Thanos' spaceships would be able to travel the distance from Saturn to Earth in like at most a couple days, but it's probably a different planet altogether. So he's on the ship. He's been there for a while. He mentions that he's already out of food and water, and that the air is gonna run out probably tomorrow. And he's making a recording to Pepper with his helmet. So that's fucked up. Then we go back to Widow and Cap, and them just kind of dealing with everything, and we see Hawkeye. He's still alive, but you can kind of tell from the look in his eyes that his family disappeared. Now, he survived, but his family is all dead, and he's not handling shit well. And then at the end, Ant-Man shows up. Just Scott is like, "Hey, you guys remember me? I helped you in that big fight. So, a bunch of people I know fucking disintegrated. Could you tell me what's going on?" I mean, he doesn't actually say that, but you know that's why he's there. I still haven't seen Ant-Man and Wasp yet, but apparently, that movie ended with, I don't know how many people, but some of the supporting cast disappearing too. Insinuating that Ant-Man and the Wasp was happening during the Infinity War. So that's a fun little bit of continuity there, and it makes sense because really only New York and Wakanda were actually affected by the Infinity War. So, well, and that town in Scotland that Scarlet Witch and Vision were attacked in. But yeah, like only those three places on Earth were really affected by this. So it makes sense that Scott on the West Coast doesn't really know what the fuck's going on. There's not a lot really to talk about. It's just a brief teaser to let you know what the fuck is going on. We are making this. This is what it's gonna look like, and we do see a little bit of Thanos. Like he's still on that planet that he was on at the end of Infinity War. The Infinity Gauntlet seems to be fused to his hand because he's still wearing it. So he's content, I guess. Like he won. He got what he wanted. Half the universe is dead. His grand philosophy has been realized. There's now more than enough materials for the universe to survive, at least for a while. So, and it does have the shot with his armor as the Scarecrow and I guess he opened a farm. I mean, he did in the comics. You'd imagine he did here. But that does kind of ask the question, how long after Infinity War does Endgame take place? It's like, I can't imagine it being more than a month or two. Like, if that, like, it's... Like, I can't imagine it's that long. I'm curious. You know, I'm curious what's going on here, what's happening, what the new story... Like, I know what the story is. It's getting Thanos and getting him to somehow reverse the finger snap and restoring everyone who died. That's basically how this is going to end, and I'm just curious how that's gonna happen, because at the end of Infinity War, obviously, Nick Fury called Captain Marvel, and we're getting a Captain Marvel movie in a couple months. We're gonna see March, I think. So we're gonna see how that plays out. So we're gonna see how she comes into all of this and what kind of role she has. And honestly, I'm not sure if, like with me and I think a lot of other people, we were all curious whether Adam Warlock was going to be included in Infinity War, because you know, Adam Warlock was an integral part of the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline. You know, he had the Soul Stone in the middle of his forehead, and we hadn't seen the Soul Stone, and that was the only Infinity Stone we hadn't seen in the movies yet. But now that I think about it, considering that it was Vision who had the Mind Stone in his forehead, he kind of, not really, but sort of filled the Adam Warlock role, at least in that regard, or at least he was in a similar position in that he had one of the Infinity Gems lodged in his forehead. But I'm curious if they're gonna try and bring Adam Warlock into this. And maybe it ends with him infusing the Soul Stone into his forehead for safekeeping. But then again, I'm sure they're gonna try and rebuild Vision, and they're gonna need, or maybe they don't, or maybe they won't need the Mind Stone if they do rebuild him. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but honestly, I kind of don't want to. I forgot what the release date for Endgame is, but like, I am completely cool with waiting for however long it'll take for this to come out, because the name says it all. We're in the Endgame. I already talked about in my video talking about Infinity War's trailer how Infinity War is the culmination of 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like 10 years of stories, 10 years of movies and characters coming and going, living and dying, doing whatever they had to, in finding these stones, doing all these amazing things. and we're finally at the end of the road. At least in terms of this iteration of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I'm sure it'll continue beyond Endgame, but like what form the Marvel Cinematic Universe takes after this point is really up in the air, and it's full of questions and possibilities, and that's great. I love that. But I'm also really curious what this movie in particular is going to be like, and what it's going to entail, and everything like that. And I don't know, like, I'm just excited. It is a good time to be a Marvel fan, even though, you know, what happened late last month. I'm curious if they managed to get Stan Lee for one last cameo. And I hope they did. I hope they did, because it just seems... It seems weirdly fitting that the last thing Stan Lee was ever in was the grand finale of a universe he helped inspire. So, I'm at No Mercy, the Mad Hatter, and I'll see y'all later.